Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
I've got my cup of coffee and we're good to go for 120.
One day I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
The trouble with time travel is one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, and the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose.
Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way. Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy, howdy do, Who fans. And welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. New listeners, waving. From behind the microphone, hello, hello. Old listeners, hello also. To you. And hello to my good friend. Not quite on the other side of the world, but there he is.
From the other side of the screen.
The other side of the screen, from the grassy plains of Aylesbury. Or near
Oxfordshire.
Oxfordshire, yes. So I hope you guys have had a cracking week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related. Coming up in today's show, we've got just one bit of news, a couple of bits of merch, and then we've got our last review of Class, Series 1.
Yes.
Yes. And then our regular review, which is Classic Week, and it's McCoy.
Yes, always like a bit of McCoy.
The incredibly bonkers Ghost Lights.
Yeah.
Which will be fun.
I see, you were rocking a coffee in the intro there. Just wondering, which mug have you got today?
Oh, it's the standard one that I use.
Is it a Matt Smith one?
No.
Oh, it's Fourth Doctor. Yeah.
It's the old Fourth.
Yeah, I mistook the scarf for a bow tie there for a second. Yeah.
How could you do that?
It's the Skype signal was interfering.
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah. It's nothing to do with your eyesight or anything.
Nothing to do with the fact that I never wear my glasses anymore. Yeah. I wish I had Adam, because we were like the two Ronnets before we kicked off, weren't we?
We had a little,
It's all going back.
Yeah.
Technical glitch.
When we had one of our, I'm not going to say typical, but one of our little glitches where we record and I forget to press a certain button or something and I'm chatting away and I realise that I'm muted or something like that. And it's take 2 or 3 or 4.
We were just like, and it's hello from me and goodbye from me. Hence the glasses.
I like my geek glasses.
Yeah. I used to wear them, but mine fell apart and I never replaced them. So I just walk around blind most of the time. I don't realise I need them until I have to read something or I need to see a mug over a Skype screen or something like that. So yeah, I'll get some. Maybe I'll get some for Christmas.
Don't you rock?
I don't feel like a proper geek without my glasses.
Don't you rock the old vintage look with a bit of tape around them, or no?
No, apart in the middle, it wasn't. Yeah, I couldn't repair them. Otherwise, I would go for that look. Yeah. It's really weird. If you watch any of my old videos, I'm often wearing my glasses, but yeah, people probably think I've moved to contacts, but I haven't. I'm just doing it blind.
You just do it, yeah.
blind bags.
Doing it blind. You're like, so when you when we have discussions about your videos, you're like, I'm never sure if I got things in focus, and
that is true though. Yeah, that is true. I'm never sure.
And I'm like, well, maybe this is a sign to stick your glasses on, glasses. And you'll know if stuff is in focus or not.
It would help.
It would help indeed. Right. Well, you've been up to anything, buddy? Anything cool? I know you've done a bit of. You've gone off universe, off franchise, off brand, and you've gone over to the Star Wars stuff this week.
Oh well, yeah. I was up in London. Yeah. I have slightly gotten to the dark side. Yeah, I was up in London. last week for a concert, and I had a few hours to kill beforehand. It was at the O2 Arena. They've got an amazing Star Wars exhibition on the minute called Identities. So I spent a good couple of hours wandering around there, trying to get a selfie with BB-8 through the glass panels and stuff like that. Good exhibition, actually. I really enjoyed it. I've been doing that. But Doctor Who wise, just mainly a little bit of shopping. I've got a couple of cool little nuggets come through. One through the post and one from an actual shop. So I got the second part of Baker's End, this audio book from Bafflegab. So I really enjoyed the first part. Second part arrived last Friday. And I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I'm looking forward to that because that is a good, fun audio to listen to. So that's good. And I finally managed to get Peter Davison's biography for £6 bargain from the workshop.
Oh, you found one?
Yes, I did. I found one. Yeah, so that was good. So I was very pleased because I had to put it on my Christmas list. I'm sure you get this as well. Like my mum was like, "What do you want for Christmas? Any little stocking fillers?" I was like, "Yes." For once, I know exactly what I want in that stocking. I want Peter Davison's biography. So she was going to order it online, and I was like, "Mum, stop. Apparently the works have got it for a bargain price. I will find it." And I hadn't had any luck till last week. So I finally got it, but I'm not allowed to read it till Christmas.
Oh, what?
Well, it's got, what it's like. I've got to give it to Mum. She's got to wrap it so she can give it back to me at Christmas.
Blimey. Really?
Yeah, to be fair, I probably wouldn't get a chance to read it before Christmas anyway. That's such a massive backlog of books.
That's true. And also, Christmas will be with us very quickly. It always comes, when we get into December. Because we're recording this on the 7th. So we're a week in, aren't we?
Yeah.
Basically, exactly a week in. And it just literally, because I know that November goes relatively quick. For some reason, for me, November always seems like a quick month because you get Halloween and bonfire, fireworks night, whatever, out the way. And then everyone says the same thing, don't they? Right, now they're out the way. Now we can, start sorting Christmas out and all the rest of it. And it just goes so fast. And I can't believe we're already a week into December. It only feels like, I was watching Halloween movies and stuff, a little while ago and stuff. It does go really quick. So that's a good point. You probably wouldn't have time to get it read before.
No, it'll be back in my hands before I know it. It's weird, actually, you say about the time, because I was thinking the other night, with all the sort of promotional stuff finally starting to kick in for Dr. Mysterio and stuff, I was thinking, blimey, the Christmas special is going to be here in 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks? 2 and a bit weeks?
2 and a bit, yep.
Which is incredible when I think about it, because it doesn't seem that long ago that me and you were saying, blimey, there's going to be no Doctor Who next year. We've got a whole year without Doctor Who. And that would have been before the start of the year. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So that's a year and a bit gone, just like that. Because that seems like, a couple of months ago we were saying that? It doesn't feel like a year and a half or a year and whatever, does it?
You mean the break in Who?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that's over a year ago that we were sat here saying, there's going to be no Doctor Who this year, mate. What we're going to do? And now already we're like at the end of the year. Doctor Who episode is on the horizon, and then obviously we'll be into the new year and a new series finally. So it's quite exciting, actually. I'm sort of thinking, yes, I think, although would prefer not to have a break, I think the break has ramped up my excitement levels a bit.
That's crazy. Now that you've said it like that, it doesn't feel that long ago that we were saying, we've got our slog now. There's no Who, and we've got to get through the dark times, the hiatus.
I was just thinking it must be over a year, because we were saying, next year there'll be no Doctor Who, so it's got to be over a year that we were sat there saying that, which is pretty damn scary.
Indeedy. I can't. What were we saying? I remember way back when we were. Well, it doesn't feel like way back, but we were saying that there's going to be a break from Doctor Who, and we're not going to have anything for a year, and all that stuff. And you and I were speaking, and we were saying, well, how are we going to get through?
Yeah.
And then we realised that we've got, such a vast library of, especially classic stories. And we were thinking, but we're going to churn through them. But we're like, well, no, if you think about it, we alternate classic and new each week. And we were talking earlier, weren't we, about certain episodes that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when I had a quick breeze through all the episodes, there's still loads and loads
I know. I actually love. We've got like a schedule, not a schedule. We've got like an episode list up that we sort of highlight and stuff every time we've done one. And I love going into it and just seeing what we've got that we haven't done yet. And I was thinking, I'm already excited about doing a new schedule for next year. Thinking, oh yeah, we haven't done that episode yet. That's going to be good and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I kind of, I like this time of year. It's all cozy and snug and Christmas special and all that. But there is something I like about that starting afresh in January feeling, like new schedule, blank canvas and all that. So yeah, but I just can't believe the Christmas special is almost here. It's just a bit scary how quick that's gone. And also we haven't had a proper trailer for it yet, have we? Which seems a bit strange. No. We're only 2 weeks away. We haven't had we've had sort of behind the scenes trailer. We've had like a mini BBC America trailer, but that just included bits from it. But we haven't had a proper BBC One trailer for it as of yet.
No,
I don't think, have we? Which is a bit strange because it's only two weeks away.
We've had the teaser, haven't we? We've had that one scene
teaser
where we see the ghost character turn up, and so we've had that bit. But yeah, we haven't had a full on, almost like when a new series of Who is on, and we get the Next Time trailer.
Yeah.
That kind of high action, lots of Murray Gold screaming out the speakers and explosions and funny little one. We haven't had any of that, have we? Yeah.
Not yet, no. I mean, there is a BBC One Christmas trailer doing the rounds at the moment, and that does include a couple of tiny little bits from it, like the Doctor saying, have a good year or something. And so that's got a few little nuggets in there. But yeah, I'm still waiting for a proper trailer. Perhaps we're not going to get one. In some ways, that might be good because I do feel like the behind-the-scenes trailer we got did seem to give quite a lot away. So in some ways, I don't really want any more. Otherwise, I'll feel like I've already watched the episode, if you see what I mean. So,
Yep, common problem.
Yes, yeah.
When you give loads away in the trailer.
Hopefully, they haven't given too much away. It does seem to me that the whole episode seems to be confined to the bits we've seen already, like that building with the skyscraper, somebody's house set, and what's the other one? Seems to be 3 sets that feature in every single clip in that trailer. So I'm guessing we've got a fairly self-contained episode here, but could be wrong. Don't know. We'll see. Won't be long though.
Interesting times.
I am starting to feel a little bit more excited about it. I think it's
cool.
I thought I would. I generally do once we start getting nearer Christmas, but yeah, I mean, obviously last month when we were talking about it wasn't really too bothered. But yeah, I'm thinking a bit more Christmassy now. I'm looking forward to seeing, what we've got in store for us. So yeah. Have you been up to much this week, by the way? Did you manage to get out and do anything?
No, mate. I was, as you all know, I was a bit man-flu-y.
Yeah, you were, weren't you?
Last time. So I did actually spend a couple of days just doing nothing, apart from sleeping, because I had a pretty rubbish cough, and I was clogged up everywhere. So it meant that I couldn't really sleep that well at night. So I woke up in the morning for a couple of days. I woke up just absolutely wiped out in the morning. So I then just proceeded to go back to bed and try and catch up on some sleep. And then other than that, I've just, because there's quite a lot on with my job at the minute, just to wrap things up before the end of the year, it's just been a bit manic and heavy with that stuff. So yeah, another boring week for me, unfortunately. I mean, I finished the Davison book.
Oh, you finished it, yeah.
Finished it. It's you've got a treat, mate, on Christmas Day when you finally
I am looking forward to it, yeah.
Yeah, get your hands on it. Yeah, that's it really. I've watched a couple of classic bits. Along with Ghostlight, I watched Survival.
Oh, right.
Because I was in the mood for that because of the recent news.
Rona Monroe.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I thought I'd give that a watch to see what her writing skills were like. A reminder back in the day. And also stuck on an Adventure in Time and Space.
Lovely.
Which I didn't get to watch a couple of weeks ago when it was Doctor Who's birthday. So I watched On Unearthly Child that evening, but I fell asleep. Not during the story, but literally right at the end. My eyes were like, when you're slow blinking.
Oh, I hate that,
yeah, I'm going to go any minute. Because I did plan to watch it afterwards, but no. So I stuck that on because I wanted to watch that.
Oh, nice. And you haven't had a chance to watch Power yet then? Or haven't watched Power yet?
No, still not. No. I think that might be a Christmas Day treat for me, mate.
That would be good. Yeah. I got an email from the BFI yesterday. Finally, because it's now 5 weeks since I went to the premiere or whatever, and it's now 3 weeks since the DVD came out, and I'm still waiting for it. But they basically said there's been a bit of they did say it was unacceptable. We apologise for the unacceptable delay in sending you your copy of Power of the Daleks. So apparently it is on the way and should be here for Christmas. So it doesn't matter. I've seen it. But it'd be nice to get that on the shelf.
Indeed.
With all the others, yeah.
Did you reply and say, yes, I agree? This is unacceptable and I want it immediately.
I'm just glad they used that word because it kind of acknowledged that. Because sometimes I think I am not the most patient of person, so sometimes I think, I'll cut them a bit of slack. But as they acknowledged it took away the guilt. I thought, oh, good, it is your fault, good. Yeah. So, yeah, but no, it's on its way apparently, so that's good to know. And I'm glad they got back to me because there's nothing worse than emailing or whatever, messaging someone and just not getting a reply because you just then get more angry. So, yeah. But no, it's on its way. It's all good, mate.
Nice one.
Christmas is on its way. Power's on its way. Davison's on its way. It's all good times. Happy times.
Yeah, so I'll either watch that at Christmas or I'll watch it on the plane when I'm off. I'll stick it on my iPad and watch it on the plane.
Oh yeah, because you're off to Canada, aren't you? So yeah,
Canada. Yeah, so I might watch it on the plane. Actually, that's a good shout. That'll kill a couple of hours, won't it?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. The thing the general consensus I'm getting from people about Power is that they love the story. It's great to have it. I think some people were a little bit disappointed in the animation. But again, I think that just comes back to the sort of time and budget the team were given to do it. But it's perfectly watchable. I know there are certain bits where I know exactly what people mean when they say it's a bit stilted. You can sort of hear stuff going on, but nothing's happening in terms of the animation. So I know exactly what they're talking about. But it's a perfectly good watch. So I think you'll like it.
Good.
Yeah, great story as well. So
good times.
Yeah. So yeah, you got that to come. Yeah. Right, buddy.
Right,
you want to land it?
Should we land it and do some newsage?
Flick those controls. Let's get into the news.
So our only bit of news this week is something that I wasn't aware of. You probably were.
I've heard of this, yeah. Yeah.
I know how you get about. There is a venue, apparently, in London, near, is it the Victoria area?
No, I think it's near...
oh, sorry, no, it's not, is it? Sorry.
Near the BBC... What's it called? Radio. Well, it's now like the BBC building. It used to be BBC Radio, didn't it?
That's right, yes.
Broadcasting House, I think is what I'm trying to think of.
Yes,
I think it's near there, but I'm not sure. I've never actually been, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's this venue that on the first Thursday of every month, it was the place to go for Doctor Who fans to meet up and chat Who and talk rumours and gossip and get into arguments about various lists and doctors and so on. And it's coming back because the venue, it's called the Fitzroy Tavern, or just the Tavern for short, apparently. And it was been closed for refurbishment for just over a year now, I believe. And they've thrown millions of pounds at it. It's had a good refurb, and they've done loads of bits. And now it's going to open again. And it will be on, well, the first meeting has already supposedly taken place, which would have been last week on the 1st of December, which would have been the first Thursday.
Yeah.
And yes, so now the venue's back up and running. Hopefully the place will be swamped with Who fans once again. And I really like the sound of this. I really like the idea of it's not like a convention where it's not like a convention where you have to turn up with stuff. There's no set plan. There's nothing. You just make your evening whatever you want it to be. So you decide who you want to go with, who you want to talk to, get involved in arguments and stuff. It sounds really cool. And I like that it's The one thing I really like is you know exactly when it is. So the first Thursday at the tavern in London. The nearest tube station is Goodge Street.
Yeah.
On the Northern Line. So this sounds pretty cool, mate. Maybe we should invade one evening.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking of, because I was going to say to you about having a little podcast meetup for a Christmas drink if we could. And I thought, well, this would be ideal. Perfect. But of course, it's just blimmin' work and stuff getting in the way and everything else, isn't it? But maybe in the new year when all that stuff settled down, because I think this would be perfect. I would love to do this. I had heard of this. So basically, I've always known that there was this pub where Doctor Who fans meet on a regular basis, and it's just an informal meetup every Thursday of the month or whatever, every Thursday of the week. So I've always known about it, but I've never really known where it was. It was always like this sort of mythical place, because I thought it was somewhere near St Paul's Cathedral. I was always sure it was a pub around there. So it's good to finally get the location, and it has become a bit of a what's the word I'm thinking of?
Hallowed ground.
Yes, hallowed ground. Because people like Douglas Adams, John Nathan Turner, Terence Dicks have been known, apparently, according to this, even Stephen Moffat, have been known to just pop in because they were aware of this, this thing that's become regular over the weeks. So it's been known for people like that to just suddenly turn up and sit and chat amongst the fans, which is quite incredible. So clearly, when's this been going? Since 1984. That's quite
wow.
That's quite an achievement. So it's quite so since 1984. So over those years, it's played host to a few surprise guests. But yeah, I just love the thought of going to a pub and sitting and chatting Doctor Who for a couple of hours over a couple of pints. I just think it'd be perfect. So yeah, I'm definitely up for doing this. We'll just have to arrange a Thursday evening when we can both do it, because I think that'd be really good.
It would be great, yeah.
Have a little podcast meetup. Yeah, I do like a pint, as you know.
So anyone that's interested in going, if you're down this way or you want to pop down wherever you are, the next one, according to the calendar, will be Thursday the 5th of Jan.
Okay, cool.
That's when the first Thursday of January. Or if you missed that one, February will be the 2nd.
Yeah, so the first Thursday of every month. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get along to one of these. That would be...
We will do, mate. Yes. That's the news.
Yeah.
Just one bit.
That's it. Right, got any merch?
Let's get the Daleks in. We've got a couple of bits.
Cool.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
First up in merch, the Lethbridge Stewart guys from Candy Jar.
Yeah.
They've announced the last novel, not ever, but just of 2016 in the range, and it's called Mind of Stone. Written by Ian McLaughlin. And I've lost count now. Is this book number 7? 8?
Oh, now hang on.
I honestly can't remember.
5, 6, 7, 8, I think.
If
you
8,
don't include the 2 Havoc File books as well, that'd be 9, 10. Yeah. These guys are not wasting time. I must admit, I love these books. I am slipping behind though, because they're knocking out the park with these at the minute, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah, so I think this is number 8. I think
I am definitely behind. I've read up to book 6.
Actually, no. Hang on. I've got them all. I've managed to buy them all. I'm just trying to count them in my head now. It might be 9. Anyway, yes, there's a few good ones already out.
Yes. Yeah. I need to finish number 6. That's where I'm up to. So I'm behind by, depending on how accurate we are, I'm behind by a couple, if not a few. But anyway, this looks good. And those guys have, like you say, mate, they've absolutely knocked it out the park with their range of novels for this character. And this one, I believe, based on the cover anyway, it's got, I think it's Sergeant Benton on the cover. I could be wrong.
Is that Benton?
I'm not sure. No, possibly. But anyway, it's a cracking cover, like they all have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Wormwood. I was going to say, I think that's Wormwood Scrubs on the cover as well. Classic location there. Yeah, so it sounds like the brig's on trial in this one, and it's got a forward by Victor Pemberton as well. So yeah, another great one to add to the collection. I'll be buying it as well. It's another one to put on the reading list that's ever growing in this house. Yeah.
So very quick synopsis. The brig has been remanded to Wormwood Prison and his team have no idea why. Secrecy surrounds his case, but his team barely have a chance to process anything before they are sent on a mission to Egypt.
Yes.
So, if you're up to date with your Lethbridge Stewart novels, this is the last one of the year, so make sure you pick it up. And I'm pretty sure you can pre-order it now. I believe so. Yes, you can. Yep.
Yeah. Perfect little stocking filler.
Yep.
Right. And also in the merch news, some more great stuff coming from Big Finish. So Dune Coalition 4, which wraps up the Dune Coalition series, is coming out in March. I think it is next year. Let me just double check.
Yep.
And this cover, we always mention how good the covers are on these recently. This one is just about thrown everything you can think of, including the kitchen sink on the front cover, isn't it? It's got like Weeping Angels, River's Song, Rufus Hound as the meddling monk, the 11, which isn't a character from the series itself. Loads going on the cover. It looks really good, actually. Yeah. Great picture of McGann almost doing a bit of a Capaldi-like pose there. This is coming out in March next year. As I said, it wraps up the Dune Coalition series, which has been overall pretty good. I mean, anything, some better than others, but it's always been an entertaining listen. This one, I mean, it goes without saying, McGann is superb on audio. So I'll just give you a little bit of a synopsis for this. It says, counting down to the end of the universe, the Doctor and his companions have been defeated and Gallifrey has been overtaken by a group of dangerous fanatics. That's the bleak scenario in Dune Coalition 4, which brings the 16-episode saga to a nail-biting conclusion, it says. So I've managed to pick up the first 3 sets of this, so obviously I'll be getting the 4th to complete it all. As I said, I always just love listening to Paul McGann on audio. He's superb.
He's great. And how are we at number 4 already? I've only listened to the first one.
Yeah,
I've got the first one. But how? Wow, that's pretty amazing. And it was I can't comment on the box sets for 2 and 3, but the first one was very good.
First one's good. Second one's okay. Third one picks up again and is better. So I'm hoping it's a good conclusion to the set. I really like the character, the 11 that I mentioned earlier. He's on the cover. I think he's in the first story in the first set, if my memory serves it right. Yeah, it's a great story, that is. So yeah, you're right. How are we there already? I like the fact they've done 4, though, because they did 4 of the Dark Eyes box sets as well. So it's quite a nice little set of 4 for this one as well.
Yes.
So, yeah. So where will they go with McGann's Doctor next?
Who knows? Actually, no, we know, don't we? Because we spoke about it on the news a couple of weeks ago. There's a new box set out for McGann at the end of next year, which is a prequel to the War Doctor box set.
Oh, yes. Forgot about that.
It's called something.
it's called the Time War thingy, isn't it?
The Time War stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that.
So that's where he's going next. He's going back to go forward.
So what is that going to link in with the War Doctor? I don't know. I'll tell you, Big Finish are literally on fire at the minute.
Yeah.
They're filling in all the gaps and mistakes and everything, and from the series, they're just sort of taking anything like that and just running with it. It's brilliant, actually.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Big Finish again, as we come to expect frequently. Great stuff.
Yes.
On the radar. That's going to do for merch.
Yep.
We need to push on with our last review of Class Series 1.
Class. Yeah.
The Lost.
The souls, they pour out, right? They find the souls of the enemy and they burn them.
Tanya, it's not that simple.
You're going to use this, okay? You said you wanted to.
We will not. There are other ways.
There are no other ways! We tried other ways and they come back! We tried other ways and people die! How am I the only one who sees this? Do you guys think I haven't seen the same things as you? I may have been 14 when I started this year, but I am 100 years old now, and I am telling you, it is time to use the Cabinet of Souls.
Hey, don't look at me. She's got a mind of her own.
Seeing as you asked so nicely, let's use the cabinet. Manners don't cost anything, do they? Eh?
No. I don't think any of these know the meaning of the word, do they? The lost souls are coming. Right. Sorry, just the song at the start. Oh,
so this
make
is
it stop, Gary. Make it stop.
Episode 8, and concludes the first series of Class, based on the presumption that there are going to be other series. And so, last week we had a fairly decent episode. Let's not lie. We haven't been huge fans of Class up to that point. The first episode wasn't too well. First episode was okay.
Yeah, it was all right. I like the first one.
Then we fell from a great height. And then last week kind of picked us up a bit. This week, this week, I'm down there again, mate.
So am I. We've fallen off the cliff again. Yeah, I couldn't wait for it to end. Yeah, I was just thinking, let this episode end. Let that be an end to the series, and I just don't want to think about it ever again. No, I mean it wasn't as bad as sort of some of the mid-series episodes, but yeah, like you said, I enjoyed last week's. I thought last week's was great, but this week, yeah, we've gone back down again. I think I was just so pleased to get it finished and done.
Yeah. I was like
shouting and oh
man, I was like that twofold. I thought, let's just get this episode over and done with.
The song at the start was enough to finish me off. The Lost Souls or whatever it was. Yeah.
And then I thought, well, that's good, because when we get this episode wrapped up, that's the series wrapped up. And as much as it pains me to say, and I didn't want to say it, but it means that we don't have to review it anymore.
Yeah, well, it's the same with me, yeah.
And I don't really like saying that about people's work, because I'm sure that Patrick Ness has put everything into this program, and it's not something that, because I know it has been reviewed or it's been received well. We know quite a few Who fans, don't we, that really like it, and they really, really like it, which is great. And it's very easy for us to sit behind a microphone and say, yeah, that's rubbish, and that's. But you do have to remember that somebody has poured their life into making this happen, and doing that stuff. So it does pain. It does. It's not nice to be able to say, great, we don't have to review this bloody thing anymore. But you and I, we're on the same page, aren't we, with Class?
We are, yeah. We
did have a moment at the beginning where you were like, mate, I was wined and dined. I was sort of eased into it nicely with some alcohol and the atmosphere and everything, which is all good. And I was like, I don't know, mate. It's okay. It's okay, but I don't know. And then episode 2, we were like, it's not great, is it? I mean, it's got potential. It could be good. But now we're at this end. We're like, crikey, Moses. Yeah. It was only 8 episodes, and it feels like a right slog.
It did feel like a slog to me. I mean, I got to just pick up on 2 things you said, which I must totally agree with. Actually, is there have been people out there that have enjoyed this series, which is great. We're not 2 of them. We've, like you said, we found it a slog. And also the thing about somebody's work as well is quite true. I mean, one of the reasons I haven't been too vocal about Class on Twitter and the like is because I was lucky enough to go to the Class premiere and I did meet Patrick Ness, and he's a very nice guy when I met him and stuff. So you are aware of that, like you said, it's very easy for me to just sit behind my phone and say, yeah, what a load of rubbish, blah blah blah. But I haven't done that because, like you said, these guys and the cast are really, really nice. I have to say that, Faddy and all that. So yeah, they're really passionate. They've tried. They've done what they wanted to do with it, which is great. And I don't want to trample on that. But the other end of it is, we've both sat through 8 episodes of this series, and the long and short of it is, it wasn't for us. So for those that liked it, brilliant. That's great. Well done to the guys involved if you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. But just personally, from our point of view, it's been hard work. I've really I have to say, I've really not enjoyed it, which is unusual. It's not just a case of thinking, well, it was all right. I've really sat there and thought, like I said, can't wait for this to end. I really have not enjoyed watching this series, apart from episodes 1 and 7. They were the only ones that I really got on board with. So I am, although it sounds cold, I am glad it's over, because I don't really want to watch this again. And I think the thing that really annoys me about it is the connection to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I do think, and we've said this all along, I do think if it was its own thing, there is a chance I might have felt differently about it. Maybe I still wouldn't have enjoyed it, but I think the fact it's sort of up there with, standing alongside Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures and Doctor Who really annoys me, because I don't think it deserves to be there. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as either of the other spin-offs that we've had. So I think that slightly irks me as well, if you know what I mean. So we've said it all along. I think it should have just been a standalone show. I think it's been hindered by being a Doctor Who spin-off somehow.
I read you. And it's not like they've leveraged a lot of the Doctor Who universe to make episodes happen.
Yeah.
We will be talking about the end part of episode 8, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So spoiler alert, if you've not seen episode 8 yet, you might want to somehow fast forward us and then back up a bit to when we finish the review, because there is a bit of a twist at the end of this last episode, which makes me think that almost certainly there's going to be a series 2, because they can't leave it. There's no way they could leave it like that.
I think the same, and I think Patrick Ness tweeted something a couple of days ago, basically saying there will be a series 2, but I'm not allowed to tell you yet, or something. I can't remember the wording. So I think they've already in their heads thought we'll give this another series. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've not seen episode 8 yet, fast forward us now. Right. So at the end of episode 8, we see a weeping angel, don't we? And that to me, and please correct me, mate, if I'm incorrect here, that's the only monster we've seen from Doctor Who in the whole of Class.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, it's the only Doctor. And did you feel it was just thrown in there to remind us that this is connected to Doctor Who, by the way? Look, as a weekend, because I did see people that were going mad about this. Unfortunately, I stayed off Twitter until I watched the episode, but I did go in a group chat on Facebook, and the first thing I saw was a still from when she's turning around and seeing the angel, and I was like, oh, for goodness sake. So I didn't go on social media for the rest of the day until I'd watched it, which was difficult. But that had already been ruined for me, unfortunately. So that I would have liked that to have been a surprise. I don't know if I would have felt differently, if you know what I mean. I would have been like, oh, my weeping angel. But I was the whole time, as soon as I saw the hall or stairs, whatever, I was like, oh, the weeping angel's coming up in a minute, because I've seen it on Facebook. Right, so I was a little bit peeved about that. But so the shock factor was gone for me. I don't know about you. What did you think when you saw it?
Yeah, I was not shocked, but when I saw it, I was like, oh. My initial reaction was, oh, that's good. And then a couple of seconds later, I thought, well, kind of shoehorned that in to remind us that we're watching something connected to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which makes me think I don't know about you, but it just reinforces the fact that it just didn't need to be a Doctor Who related program. And I could totally get it if in each episode, or if we had a couple more cameos, not necessarily from the Doctor, but if we had a couple of cameos from, even if it's some obscure character like Jackie Tyler because she's in an alternate universe with Rose, isn't she? Even if it's someone like, I don't know, whoever, it doesn't have to be a main cast character, and then just like the odd reference to things like
Courtney, maybe. Well, I mean, I know she wasn't probably the character, but what happened to old Courtney?
Yeah. But what they've done is they've said at the very beginning, this is related to Doctor Who. And we're going to throw that right in your face by giving you the Doctor. And then just nothing. The only reference we had was seeing Clara's bloody name up on the wall with Danny Pink. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
And was Susan's name up there as well? someone said, I didn't spot it, but someone said Susan's that, or S. Foreman, which makes no sense, does it? Susan wasn't.
I don't.
Oh, I suppose she would have been in the class. I don't know. Anyway.
But I know there's been the odd reference to things, but we've had no kind of visual thing to say, yes, this is cool. You know, it's in the Doctor Who universe, so let's bring in a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's almost like Patrick Nessa said, look, I didn't want to do, you know, I'm over the moon that you've allowed me to make the programme. But if you're telling me that it has to be connected to Doctor Who, then I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'll do it in like the most minimum amount that I can do. And so it's almost like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's like
that's exactly what I've felt.
You know, does it want to be this edgy, borderline sort of adult program that's makes sci-fi cool again on TV? Is it trying to do that? Is it trying to be a Doctor Who show? I don't think so. Is it trying to be something different, but is hindered by the fact that it's got a Doctor Who sticker on it? It's very difficult to judge, and I think personally it hasn't done itself any favours in its first series.
No.
And
I found it's a very clunky first series. Like with that opening episode, we got introduced to the characters, and I thought, okay, yeah, I like what's going on here. You know, I like this little world, this little group. And then by episode 2 and then 3 and 4, they just all became unlikable. They spent most episodes shouting and screaming at each other, and there was no connection. We had relationships that formed overnight, sort of thing. It was just like, it did not flow as a series at all for me. It was really clunky. I mean, I think one of the reasons I personally didn't enjoy this finale is because I didn't care about any of the characters in it. Like, right. They're all in peril. The only one I like is Quill. I've said that all the way through. She's the only one that I give a tuppenny halfpenny about. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so I'm just sat there, and I think this is the reason why I often say I'm bored watching this episode, is because I just don't care about the characters. They're horrible. They're not. I don't find any of them likable at all. So I don't really care what happens to them. And you've got the Shadowkin flying about all over the place, and I thought they were supposed to hate daylight, so I don't know why they're, you know what I mean? But as for the Doctor Who thing, I know exactly what you mean. Last week I made 2 notes which I didn't read out, I forgot, but they said right at the start of the episode, I put here, unit gets a mention, tick, Zygon gets a mention, tick. So that was in the first sort of 5 minutes of last week's episode, just to remind us that it's Doctor Who. So it's almost like you said, right, we've got those references in there, we can move on now. And it was the same, I think, with the Weeping Angel this week. I like the whole thing with the room, whatever that was, that she walks into like the court, or, I like stuff like that because it's a bit weird. But I kept thinking, well, what? So no one ever gets in that door? But I liked that idea because I like things like that where there's a bit of sci-fi, going on behind there and stuff. Yeah, but apart from that, there wasn't much.
So what about the episode itself then? So the title is The Lost. And it kind of focuses, I mean, it tries to, even now at the end of the series, the Shadowkin are still here.
Yeah, I know. Are they ever going to leave?
Yeah, so the Shadowkin himself, what's his name? Karakanus. He kind of threw the shadow into Charlie's face, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, and then when Charlie killed when Charlie killed April, thus killing the Shadowkin because their hearts are connected, he then becomes the Shadowkin king.
That's it.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're still here. They're still bloody here.
They're still here, yeah.
And you just know that they'll be in series 2.
So we've had them at the start, we've had them in the middle, two-parter, and the final. And like you said, they're still not defeated. I know it does seem like they're getting the most out of
they're getting their money's worth out of the CG effects to actually make them look good, because they do look good on screen.
They do look good, yeah.
They do.
Yeah, they do look good.
They're getting their money's worth. And we finally get the cabinet put to use. So all this moaning and crying and grief that Charlie's gone through about using this flipping cabinet, he finally unleashes the power of the cabinet wipes out, supposedly wipes out the Shadowkin, because they've come through whatever portal and they're around the planet and they're ready to destroy everybody.
Mm.
And conveniently, it doesn't kill the Shadowkin that are standing right next to them in the school hall. So the cabinet that he opened is obviously doesn't work in close proximity, because when he's obliterated all of them, you still have the Shadowkin standing behind them.
Yeah.
So it almost worked. This bloody cabinet that they've been banging on about since episode 1.
Yeah, it must be light, mustn't it, to be dragging that blooming cabinet around.
And then it was about to kill Charlie. That last little floating little sparky thing that came out of the cabinet was about to kill him, but yes, of course. He gets saved. And there we go. Yeah.
Who saves him? I can't even remember now. Oh, of course.
She drags him out the way, doesn't she?
Mm.
And from that moment on, we're still no further afield in terms of what is happening with the rift that's there at Coal Hill Academy, because it's still there, because when there's a shot, isn't there, where I think April's walking into the school, or somebody is, and we see the little rift just
that's
appearing.
it, by the sign, yeah.
So nothing's happened with that. That's still there. So I can only assume that in Series 2, we're just going to be back at Coal Hill with the same rift, with the same non-Doctor Who monsters coming through. But just minus April.
Well, yeah. Or April is what is she now? She's a Shadowkin. Because they were like, oh, let's shoot it. And for some reason they didn't shoot it. And then she's like, why is everybody staring at me? And it's like, oh, April's the Shadowkin. What's going on now?
So that's weird. Yeah, because Charlie's supposedly the king now, but April is one of the... She's the embodiment of the Shadowkin. She's kind of transmogrified from herself into one of the Shadowkin. What is she in now? Karakanas's body. Is it his body she's in?
Well, we do. I mean, that,
it looks
yes,
like it.
Or is she on the planet talking through that thing? I don't know how they're going to get around it. It's I think probably they think it's a bit of a game changer. I just have to go back to what you're saying about the cabinet and stuff as well, though. I think this is one of my main frustrations with this series as a whole. Like you said, they finally opened the cabinet after all this discussion, and we've had it all the way through. And that's one thing that's drove me mad about the series is it's so repetitive. They keep doing the same thing over and over again. Like, the prince and the cabinet, Quill and her gun. I mean, how many times did she go on about my gun? And then we've got all these scenes where they keep doing the same thing. And so, like, you'll have like the Shadowkin behind one of their parents, and he's going to kill her. I'm going to kill her any minute. And then we have a 10-minute scene somewhere else. They come back, going to kill her any minute now. I'm going to kill her. And it's just like, and that's what I found all the way through this series is they set something up and they just drag it out for the whole, not just the whole episode, but the whole series. And it's just like, I found myself just screaming, get on with it the whole time. And that's what I've just found most frustrating about the series. It's had some good ideas and they've just been stretched out beyond oblivion. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, the thing with the parents getting killed as well. I mean, before the opening credits, we got a really gruesome shot of Ram's dad getting stabbed and all this blood coming out of his mouth and the sword, and that was before the credits had rolled. I was thinking, lovely, like you said, so that's quite adult. You think, that's a bit gruesome, and then we get into it and it turns into an episode of Hollyoaks for 10 minutes, and then we're on to something else. So I just found the pacing all over, not the pacing, what do I mean, not the pacing, is it, but you know what I mean, all over the shop. It's just like you said, it doesn't know what it wants to be. I don't think. If it does get a second series, hopefully it finds its blooming feet.
Yeah. Did you like the song that April sings at the beginning?
No, I thought it was total cringe, is what I wrote in my notes. So I just thought, what is this?
Unfortunately, she didn't sing it very well either.
No, I didn't. I just had my head in my hands, thinking, good grief.
Yeah,
I didn't like it. I won't be downloading it.
And then we had Quill teaching what's her face to fight.
Oh yeah,
Tanya. is it?
Yeah, Tanya.
Yeah, teaching Tanya.
See, the fact we don't even know their names. We're episode 8, and we don't even know their names.
Can't remember names.
I mean, we're actually, our listeners will be screaming at us. We are bad with names. I acknowledge that, but
yeah. So we've got Tanya learning to fight, which is that's another thing, right? I know this is a bit of a ranty review, isn't it?
A little bit, but we are at the end of the series, so yeah. we're getting it all out of our system.
So Tanya's learning to fight. So what's she going to do with an hour's worth of a pregnant woman teaching her how to throw the odd kick?
I know.
And then I thought to myself, well, actually, this is not the first time we've seen this ridiculousness, because the episode where April leaps through the portal and goes to I think it's episode 5, Bravish Heart, I think, where she jumps through the portal after the Shadow King, and Ram dives through as well. And we have that scene, don't we, where April, who at this point in the story has done nothing with her life apart from, like, the most physical thing that she's done that we're aware of is play the violin.
Yeah.
And yet here she is, wielding 2 huge swords, and has managed to beat down the very big and strong, experienced Shadow King from nowhere. And now we have Tanya having fighting lessons from Quill, which has lasted, let's be honest, about an hour in the time frame of the story.
Yeah.
So she's like, teach me how to fight, blah, blah, blah. Then the cabinet goes off. Now what's she going to do? What purpose did that serve in the story?
It just filled 10 minutes, didn't it?
Exactly. And that's what we've had time and time again on each episode. We have these 5-10 minute slots where they could have made like some really good 25-minute episodes. Or half an hour episodes. Because what are they? They're 45 minutes, aren't they?
They're 45. I mean, I mistakenly thought they were an hour because I did. Yeah. I remember writing a note saying these should be 45 minutes, not an hour. And then someone was like, they are 45 minutes. Oh, I think maybe the first one was an hour, which confused me. But one of the notes I've written actually is that I think the director has mistaken nothing happening for suspense. And what I mean by that is that I think that sort of ties in with what you're saying. There's so many bits where I think what they're trying to do is build some suspense and something happening, but it goes nowhere. And you just keep coming back to it and it's still going nowhere, that you sort of think, well, it's pointless. What's the, what's actually happening in terms of moving the story forward?
Yeah. And it's a shame. It is a real shame because, like we said right at the beginning, this has got potential to be awesome. Let's hope it picks up and finds itself, and we have some great stories, but it's just, So the Weeping Angel thing at the end, we finally have a connection to the Doctor Who universe in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which
is not just a name on a wall. We actually have a familiar monster to deal with.
It was only in it for like 2 seconds, wasn't it? It was just behind her. Yeah.
And this links to something called The Arrival. And there's this big sort of mural on the wall, isn't there, of this big weeping angel looking over
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Looking over the earth. And so at the moment, I'm feeling like, is this like an invasion? Is the weeping angels coming to Earth? But then that doesn't make sense to me either, unfortunately, because when do the weeping angels need a society of people to enable them to come to Earth and do whatever?
Well, I don't know how that would work because they wouldn't be able to. You can't sit down and write a contract out opposite a weeping angel, can you?
Exactly.
You'd be stoned within seconds. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that works. Yeah.
So that right there has the potential to either enhance what we already know about the weeping angels and could progress their backstory a little bit, or progress some of the details we know, or it could just completely destroy the coolness and the mystery of the weeping angels. Because the fact that the only thing we know is what the Doctor's told us about them. Yeah. Sort of short little nuggets. And how they've left it on the main show is that they're bloody scary.
Yeah.
So this can either enhance that, or like I said, they could give us too much And now we know it's a bit like the Centauran thing.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Did you find the Shadowkin quite hard to understand at times?
A little bit, yep.
Yeah, I struggled. I really struggled with some of the dialogue. Not because it was being drowned out by the music for once, but I don't know if they'd lowered his voice or something. But he was like, and I was like,
yeah,
what?
He's had that movie trailer. I don't know if I can get my voice low enough.
Oh, like the Batman guy when he was. Sorry, could you speak up?
Bored in the dark. He was almost that. Yeah, it was like he had a sock in his mouth.
Yeah,
he was trying
chewing on a Werther's original.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It was a bit because but I couldn't be bothered to rewind it.
No,
I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. I'm sure you said something there.
Yeah, we're just like, just go with it.
Oh dear. So anything else in this episode that you liked, you didn't like, you want to mention?
No, I could go on forever, but our listeners would probably switch off if I did. I think I'm done.
I think we are done with Class, aren't we? Thankfully.
Yeah.
We won't be pre-ordering the Blu-ray or.
I actually won't. It's very strange to me because I am a bit of a completist. I am very much the hoarder. I have to have something if it's connected to Doctor Who. But no, I definitely won't be ordering the Blu-ray. No.
Maybe if Series 2 is really good. Maybe, if Series 2 turns out to be a really good watch and then you pre-order it, then we'd have to get Series 1 because that would be a completist thing.
Yeah. Definitely. I was going to say what I would love if they are going to do a second series. I hope they go back and reevaluate Series 1 because there's clearly some good stuff in there and there's clearly stuff in there that people enjoyed. So I hope they just go back and look at the bits that did work, the bits that didn't work and find their feet, as I said. And hopefully if there is a second series, it will be a vast improvement in our eyes and personally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I said, I was chatting to someone the other day about it and I said, I hope there isn't a second series because I won't be watching it. But of course I will. Of course, if there's a second series, the curiosity in me would not be able to not watch it. But I just have a feeling that I'll just be sat there thinking, why am I watching this every week? But hopefully if they do series 2, it'll be good.
Hopefully.
I'm pretty sure they will do one. Although the viewing figures have been bad, haven't they?
They've been very bad.
Download. Yeah. Apparently, when it gets a TV slot next year, is it? It's going to be a late night weekday slot, is what it's rumored for. So that's doesn't sound too great for it. But I don't know. I still think they probably already planned it as a 2 series. To be honest, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see if we call it if our predictions were correct because I think. I said that this would always be a 2 series thing. I
cannot see it going past 2 series at all. No, I think it's a 2 series show max. Like you said, they'll all be in their 30s by then.
Yeah. Right. What score would you give this, buddy? If you had to score this one,
very middle of the road. 5 out of 10.
A 5?
Well, yeah. I don't know. I didn't know what to score it, to be honest.
That's pretty reasonable.
It's probably it's probably too high. What it is I went back and looked at what I scored the others, and I would put this on par with episode 2. Is what I thought. For some bizarre reason, I must have been like you said, I must have had too much wine. I gave episode 2 a 6, so I was like, I can't go to 5. Probably too generous, but there you go.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I will give this a 3.
3, yeah. Totally agree with that.
Series overall.
Ooh. Again, I'll probably give it a 5 overall. It's just middle. It's just in the middle there. It's not great. It's 5.
4 overall for me, mate.
4 overall. Yeah, we're definitely on the same page with this one.
Indeedy. So that's Class done and dusted.
Yeah.
Regular review. It's classic week. McCoy.
Let's get into it.
Rice pudding. What are we doing?
So a bit of rice pudding. It is, of course, Ghost Light.
Light. I think I've solved your problem for you.
There's only one solution to Earth. I was going to reduce it to this.
Oh, no.
So you started with Inspector Mackenzie.
The cream of Scotland Yard.
Primordial soup. The most precious substance in the universe, from which all life springs.
Merely sugars, proteins, and amino acids. But it will soon start to evolve again. So I'm going to stop the change here. All organic life will be eradicated in the firestorm. And when this world is destroyed, no more change. No more evolution. No more life.
Ooh.
It all heats up there.
I'd forgotten that I'd forgotten that Light talked like that. It's been so long since I watched this story. I was quite surprised. I was like, I remembered how he looked, and then he came out and he starts, hello. I was like, hey, I don't remember this. Is there a fault with the DVD?
I'm with you, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally forgot the high-pitched. Just play it like otherworldly.
Okay. You are Light. Okay. How David Collins told me to talk and act like this.
No, we don't mean you're light as in how much you weigh. You're like, anyway.
Yeah.
So, Ghost Lights. This was broadcast on the 4th of October, 1989.
Yes.
It's 3 episodes, roughly 25 minutes. And it's written by Mark Platt, directed by Alan Waring. Overseen by Mr. Cartmel and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Now, excuse me, plot. You're going to have to help me with this one, mate.
Oh, God. Yeah, good luck with this one.
Because this one's a bugger to nail down.
It really is. Even reading it on Wiki, I'm still trying to get my head around it. Yeah.
There's a house. That's a good start. There's a house.
Lightning. There's a bit of lightning. Set the scene.
At a house in Perivale, which is near London, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Supposedly. And at some point in Ace's teens, she breaks into this house and she senses an evil presence, like it's haunted, etc. And she burns it down.
As you do.
As you do. She tells the doctor this, and his intrigue gets the better of him. So they nip back in time and they land inside the house because he wants to know his interest in why Ace felt so scared. And scared to the point where she burnt the house down. And they land back in the house. I think it's in the 1800s, isn't it? Somewhere. It's like
1883, I think it's set, yeah.
And the house is not as it seems. So the original owners are nowhere to be found. And it's run by a mysterious guy. I can't remember his name. Is it Mr. Chase? Is it Gabe?
House Gabe Chase.
No, that's the original owners, isn't it?
Is it Smith, Mr. Smith guy who's running it? He's the guy who's sort of in control of it.
Yes.
There's so many characters in this as well, isn't it? It's really hard to keep track.
Yeah. So that's right. So the Chases, then, they were the original owners of the house. They're nowhere to be found. And the house is now run by Josiah Smith. That's right. Yeah. And he's hiding a spacecraft down in the basement.
As you do.
As you do. And in the basement is...
two husks,
two insect humanoid kind of creatures, and this strange, well, what looks like a very horrible creature in one of the prison cells. The Doctor and Ace immediately realise that something's not right, and the Doctor kind of pieces together roughly what's going on, because they run into this strange guy, doesn't he? This hunter guy.
Oh, him, yeah.
Redvers. And they obviously know that he doesn't know where the bloody hell he is. He doesn't know what he's doing, where he is. And when they discover the spacecraft, they then figure out, right, Regis. So this guy, Josiah Smith, is part of the crew from the spacecraft. And he's like been collected. He was chosen by Light, the character Light, along with the old Neanderthal guy, Nimrod, who's the house servant.
Yeah.
And they've sort of parked themselves comfortably on Earth in this house. And Josiah has been keeping light locked away or locked up somehow, so that he can then sort of cleanse the Earth, starting with Britain, by assassinating Queen Victoria, controlling the British Empire, and henceforth would be sort of a higher power for him to do whatever he wants with. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is very it's very hard to understand. I mean, that bit about the British Empire, I mean, I've never got that bit straight in my head. Yeah. Whenever I've watched it, I think I knew when I read it, the synopsis online, I was like, okay, all right, so I'll go back and watch that again. Let me see. There's a lot of the explanation is missing in this story, so it's not the easiest storyline to follow.
No.
Or explain.
Yeah, if someone said to you, I'm new to Doctor Who, well, I've watched, quite a bit of the modern Doctor Who. I want to get into the classic stuff. Can you recommend anything that's an easy watch? You would absolutely not recommend Ghostlight, because it not to beat around the bush, it's completely bonkers.
It is crazy.
In terms of its story.
Yeah, you've got policemen they open like a cabinet drawer and there's a policeman lying in it.
Yeah. There's the Neanderthal guy who's the servant, but
Nimrod,
but he can speak very good English.
Who's that? You've got a reverend that turns into a monkey.
So the reverend character, Reverend Ernest Matthews, he's there because he represents like the British science, like the Science Institute of Great Britain, and he's there to basically tell this guy Josiah, look, you've been banging on about evolution, it's all blasphemy and Darwinism and all that stuff. We want to basically silence you. And he gets so he does nothing really apart from just turn up a few times, has a go at Smith, and then Smith turns him into an ape, and puts him in a display cabinet.
If you're listening to this thinking, I've never watched Ghostlight, what the hell? Let's just put it this way: there's a bit on the making of on the DVD where Andrew Cartmel himself tries to explain this story, and even he, although you can tell that he's got it in his head, even he finds it really hard to put it into words. Mm-hmm. Like you can see he's sort of trying really hard. He's like, no, I know what it's about, but right, how can I explain it to you? Yeah,
and it must have been a massive sense of relief for all of those involved, because even though the Curse of Fenric and Survival went out after Ghostlight in terms of broadcast dates, Ghostlight was the very last episode to be recorded.
That's right. Yeah, it's the last thing they ever did for however many years.
Yeah,
before Doctor Who came back. Yeah,
so they must have thought at the end, like, crikey, I'm glad that is done and dusted, because Curse of Fenric, they were probably thinking, I can cope with this. Yeah, it's not too bad, and Survival, I can cope with that. But this one, they're probably all scratching their heads, thinking, so why is he there? So what's going on here?
They didn't have a clue. I mean, they say on the making of, the director was constantly phoning Mark Platt, the writer, saying, Can you just help me out a bit here? Because we're a bit lost. Apparently they were constantly on the phone. And the thing is, I get the impression it was written as a 4-parter. For whatever reason, it was made as a 3-parter. They were constantly cutting scenes, which you can tell. I mean, a lot of the expedition is just missing, where they've had to cut so much out. I would imagine the book is a lot clearer. But and also on the making of, it's great because there's some good behind the scenes stuff on the DVD, and you can just tell they're having a good laugh, but there's also a lot of confusion and frustration. There's a bit where Sylvester and the director, I wouldn't say they're arguing, but you can see this tension. They're like, no, that can't be right because blah, blah, blah. And there's so much confusion within the script that I think in some ways it's amazing that what we get on screen is as good as it is, even though it's incomprehensible a lot of the time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but no, I think it was a real tough story to make, this one.
I would say so.
Yeah, and like you said, I bet they're glad it was the last one. I think Sylvester said, when they finished filming, obviously, they didn't know at that point the show was going to be axed, so they were sort of turned around to each other and said, "Phew, see you next year then to do it all again," or something like that. And of course, they then got the call after the wrap party or whatever saying, "You won't be coming back." So yeah, it was a bit of a shock, I think. But
yeah, in a way, there is some good writing in there. I mean, it's a cool little backstory for Ace, isn't it? In a way,
it is. Yeah, it is.
And there's a few stories in Series 26 that deal with Ace a little bit, especially, The Curse of Fenric, especially.
Yeah.
This one, and what's the other one where they
survival?
Of course, yeah, at the end.
Yeah.
So it does give Ace a bit of it fleshes her character out a little bit more, which is nice, because back in the classic series, you didn't really do that with companions too much.
No, I mean, we're so used to it in the new series, aren't we? With like Clara, I mean, everything became about Clara, didn't it? And it drove me and you mad. And I couldn't help but think about that when I was watching this, because I love the companion Ace. I love the character. I think Sophie Eldred is great. And I really love the fact we get some backstory for her. So I was thinking, okay, so I like that, but I don't like it when they do it for Clara. But I think you're right. It is different because they didn't. It's not overbearing. Like, like with Clara, it just became everything was about her. She solved everything. Everything evolved around her. She was in the Doctor's blimmin' timeline. With Ace, it's actually developing the character and giving you a bit more about her sort of thing, rather than her actually involvement in the show. Because you sort of almost feel a bit sorry for her, don't you? The Doctor knows that she hates this place, and she's totally unaware of the fact that where she is when she first gets there. So he brings us to somewhere that he knows that when she finds out where she is, she's going to freak, which she does.
She does.
But no, it's really nice. I love the sort of underlying development of Ace over the next 2 or 3 stories. I think it's great.
Yeah, and we very early on in the episode we know it's about Ace, don't we? Because she says, I can tell when a house is haunted or something. And he said, "Have you spent you spent much time in haunted houses?" And she says, only one. Yeah, one was enough. So it kind of sets that up quite nicely.
And the Doctor's thinking, "Yeah, you're in it." He's being a bit naughty. I mean, this is again developing the Doctor's Seventh Doctor's character, isn't it? Because he's being a bit manipulative, and he's brought her there on purpose, sort of thing. So again, it's the slightly darker Seventh Doctor that we're seeing here, which again is nice development for Sylvester. Yeah.
And that's one of the things when we interviewed Andrew Cartmel, that was kind of the plan, wasn't it? And Sylvester was very much on board with that, where they wanted to steer the Doctor's character a little bit more towards, not necessarily make him a bad guy or anything like that, but just bring out that sort of slightly
alien,
darker side to him and that mysteriousness, because he is an alien. Let's not, that's the crux of it.
Yeah,
he's not human, so he does have these thoughts that are not. He wouldn't think the same way as we do, and that's like the path, wasn't it? That was the start of the journey to not turn him over to a bad character, but just in each story. And I imagine if they went on to make Series 27, we would have seen quite a bit more of that.
I would have loved to have seen more, actually. Yeah, it's funny because I really felt like they were getting back on track with this last series, Series 26. I just felt they were getting back into some really good, interesting stuff. I mean, we've both said it's confusing, which it is, but do you enjoy watching it? Like, what do you actually think of this story?
I really don't know. It's the bottom line. I've seen it. I think when I watched this yesterday, and I think that was the 4th time I'd watched it overall. And every time I watch it, I do think to myself, did I enjoy that or not? I think a larger portion in me does. I think I do enjoy it. But I think because of the very complex storyline that has to get from A to B just in 3 episodes. It does. You do have to keep up, because if you miss a bit, if you go to the toilet and don't pause it, or if you make a cup of tea and you haven't paused it and you come back, even if you've watched it before, you do think,
oh, you've no idea what's
it's game over.
Yeah.
So that part of it does make me think like, oh, I don't mind it. It's a fairly enjoyable watch, but I know now for the next hour and a half, I'm going to have to be on the ball, because you do it can run away from you if you start messing about on Twitter or something, or if you go and make a cuppa. So, but I do quite like it overall. It's a good watch. Did you find this one all right? Or
yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because I'm like you. I sit there and I don't really have a clue what is happening, but there is something about it I really like. I like it, but it's an oddity. I think I like the sort of surrealness of it. I like all the stuff that's going on in it. I just wish it was a bit more fluent, a bit more, flowed a bit better, because you can tell that it for once, I mean, it's great because there is almost too much going on. There's way too many characters in it, really, for a 3-parter. And for once, it's nice because you get the idea this really should have been a 4-parter. So it's not like some 4-parters where it would have slowed down in the middle. Mm-hmm. There is so much going on here that it definitely could have done with that 4th part. And I mean, episode 1, you can tell that they've had to cut so much of the script out, because it just moves like at breakneck speed. It is just scene after scene after scene after. It's not slow. It's like someone finished speaking, cut, we're on to the next scene. You can tell that they've crammed this in to 3 episodes, is what I'm basically saying.
Yes.
So it would have been lovely if it had had that 4th episode, just to have let it breathe a bit more and to have given a bit more explanation. And I really do think this was borderline, would have been an absolute classic, like a gem, if it had had that 4th episode, because there is some great stuff in here. I love I think what it is I love the feel of the episode. It's creepy. It's got all the taxidermy animal stuff going on in it. It's got all the weird characters in it that that are in drawers and put in cases, and it really, because of the fantastic set. And everything going on. You've got this box opening with light coming out. There's loads going on in it. Aliens in the basement. There's loads of stuff in there I love. And I just think it was so close to being a classic. It's just a shame it was crammed into 3 episodes and became incomprehensible, because it takes away the brilliantness of the story, I think, because it is so hard to understand in terms of understanding it fully, if you like. You get bits of it. You understand bits of it, but as an overall story, it suffers from being cut so heavily, I think, into 3. But I do like it. I sit there and I enjoy it, and I think I appreciate the production. I just think they did an amazing job with what they had. It looks fantastic. So I do like this one. Yeah, it's what I would just call an oddity.
It absolutely is an oddity.
It's a little oddity, yeah.
Yeah, and it is a good watch. Let's talk about I think it'll be difficult for us to talk about the story too much, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
I mean, but overall though, it is a good story, and I imagine the book would be very good.
Yeah.
Because hopefully the book would give us a bit more, expand on things a little bit more and explain things. It's a good story, and it does have a certain feel to it. You're right. It does have a charm to it that doesn't. There isn't another episode like this in 26, or pretty much any of the McCoy stuff. I mean, we've had some creepier episodes like Fenric, and even some of the clowns in Greatest Show of the Galaxy are quite creepy, and
they
so
are creepy. Yeah,
but this does have a genuine strangeness about it, and I think that makes it a bit more creepier in some respects, because not a lot of stuff is revealed. Like, for instance, the housemaids that just come out the walls.
Yeah, see, I love stuff like that. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah,
and they've
got guns at one point, haven't they? They suddenly pull out these little guns. It's and
then you've got Mrs. Pritchard, who's like she's obviously managing these housemaids and so on. She's got a darkness about her, and you think, because it transpires, because the when we mentioned earlier about the house was owned by the Chases, and I think the man that used to own it, Gabriel Chase, his daughter Gwendolyn still lives there.
That's it,
which is a bit odd, but she's in the care of Josiah Smith, which is a bit weird. And it transpires that Mrs. Pritchard is her mum, isn't it? But they've been brainwashed in a weird way by Smith, and so that part of it is creepy, even when it's not really intended to be. It's just strangeness about it, but you don't find that out until near the end. Because the Doctor shows her the locket, the pictures inside the locket, and then that sort of triggers their memory back, and they're all happy, and then they get turned to stone by light.
Yes,
which is a bit sad in a way, but it's definitely off the ball writing. It's not your standard Doctor Who, thing.
No, that's right. I think some of the ideas in it are really wonderful. Like, it reminds me of really like classic 70s Doctor Who and 80s Doctor Who, a lot of it. I don't know if it's just because of the set. I mean, the set's brilliant. And it's one of those stories, I mean, if you look at things like Battlefield and that, there are bits of the production which really let it down. You think, the knights don't look frightening at all, whatever. This is kept very much basic, but the production values in it seem really good for the time. Like, everybody in it looks brilliant, don't they? Like, Samuel Smythe with his glasses and his cobwebs all over him and all that, and the maids and just the costumes themselves. Production wise, it's brilliant, and it reminds me of Doctor Who, dare I say it, back in the good old days, because at this point, unfortunately, when this first went out, and I was there, so I can tell you, Doctor Who had become a bit of a joke with people. People at school used to rip it out of me for liking Doctor Who. So when I watched this when it went out, it just reminded me of, like I said, the good old days. I was like, no, this is good stuff. I don't know what's going on, but this is good. I like the look, the production of it. I like what I see here. I like the direction we're going in. This reminds me of Doctor Who when people used to like it, more. So from that point of view, I just think it's a really good watch.
Yeah. The production is great. I mean, it's only set in 4 or 5 different rooms.
Yeah, true.
We've got the main sort of area of the house with the main staircases. And we've got the lift that's in there as well that takes you down to the basement.
That's right, yeah.
We obviously have the basement. And then we just have the dining room, the bedroom where Ace and the Doctor first land, the back room, and a couple of hallways.
That's it. And we get a couple of establishing shots of the sort of outside of the house, don't we?
Yeah.
With the lightning.
The lightning
just to let
strikes
us know where we are. Yeah.
And when you talk about the production, I think that's one thing that everybody was really proud of. If I remember correctly, when I was reading Andrew Cartmell's book, and he was talking about the production of that episode, he really liked that every single detail was spot on. So when you walked around the set and there was a desk, and on the desk, even though the items on the desk might have been in shot just for 3 seconds, when you went and picked something up, it was an authentic thing. It wasn't just a bunch of rubbish that they had made out of stuff they could find.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with some of the Doctor Who, especially at this point, the sets were quite questionable at times. I mean, not...
They could be, yeah. I mean, you look at Happiness Patrol, for example, compared to this.
Oh,
God.
Yeah.
So that's as an example.
Yeah. Whereas this, everything seems solid and is there for a purpose and looks great and it's quite authentic. And it does give that it does give that sense of maybe the show's heading more towards that sort of quality. Had it have not been cancelled, we might have seen a bit more of that stuff.
I'd like to think
maybe.
so. I mean, the budget would have been really low back then. This is right at the end of the era, as I said, just before it was taken off. So it would have been, very low budget. So what they've managed to do with that budget is incredible.
But
I think the other thing is I'm not always a fan of, I don't really like stories where they're completely studio bound, because I do love my locations, as you know. So I often sometimes get a little bit bored when it's all studio bound. And I don't find that with this. Like you said, considering it's all in just a few little sets, I don't find myself thinking, oh, come on, let's get outside, let's move on. I don't find it in this. I think it actually adds to the claustrophobia of it, that they're all in this creepy old mansion.
Yeah. Sometimes all you need is a good quarry.
Yeah, as you get in the next story. Is the next one Curse of Fenric?
Curse of Fenric, yeah.
Yeah, get a good old quarry in Fenric, yeah.
That's a lot of location.
Actually, it's like a
one.
beach, actually.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, actually, but it's like a beach, isn't it? Yeah.
There's loads of location in the next story.
Yeah, that's probably why, actually. Yeah, they probably just, this one was penciled in for being studio, and then they could let rip on the next one, yeah.
Right, let's talk about some characters, because essentially it is a character-driven piece. It's
very much.
It's really not about flying spaceships. It's not about time travel. It's not about aliens who are planning to take over. Well, it kind of a little. Josiah's character is very much. He's got big plans, starting with assassinating the Queen. But it's not that typical. Some kind of weird alien has landed on Earth in its spacecraft, and now it's going to take over the world. It's not that type of thing. It's very much revolves around some key characters.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some of the lesser ones first. So we've spoken about the maids. They look creepy because they don't talk.
Yeah, there's no expression.
They're expressionless. They don't talk. I'm assuming that they're involved in the brainwashing thing. They are just going along with it because they feel they have to. However, there was a maid who we see at the beginning. Because when the Reverend...
Oh, the one that says, "Oh, don't stay here after dark." That one.
Yeah. So when were they there then? Because I'm assuming that because she runs out the door with a couple of other younger maids, but they weren't part of the brainwashing thing. And I know why they're there. They're there because her line, the way that she delivers her line, is meant to give us a bit of like, ooh, there's something wrong with the house. It's all creepy.
Yeah.
But I did wonder why and how they were there and how they were able to work in the house and so on without being part of the brainwashing thing.
Yeah, because they almost seem like servants or something, don't they? And you're right. You'd think, well, why are they still working there? You'd probably think they would get out of there and do a runner. Yeah, I'm not too sure about why they're not. I guess it's there, like you said, just to sort of add a bit of, these guys have managed to still be alive, but they're terrified. So yeah, I don't know.
But they set the scene nicely.
Yeah, there's a nice scene between her and Ace. Is it episode 3 where she brings what she thinks is breakfast, and she's like, "Well, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or something like that." There's quite a nice little scene between the two of them there.
Yeah.
And Ace is like, "What?" Yeah.
Episode 3, I believe.
Yeah.
So we have those guys as well, along with the regular maids that just come out the wall.
They come out like clockwork soldiers. I think that's what's nice. when the doors open and the maids just sort of come out of the wall. And like you said, because they sort of walk in unison and they're all motionless and then they're sort of back in. I think that's what's quite nice. You almost feel like, like you said, hypnotized, robotic, whatever. But it does make them very creepy.
Then we have Mrs. Pritchard, who is like the head of the housekeepers.
She's quite a famous actress, isn't she? Sylvia Sims. Yeah. Definitely know that name. I think she might have done quite a lot over the years, but yeah. I mean, she's got the look of, she's a pretty scary looking person anyway, isn't she?
Yeah.
Like the way she's made up and stuff. She looks really stark and harsh and yeah.
She's still with us though. She's 82.
Ah.
Yeah, she's still with us. She has done quite a bit. I think the last... Yeah, I don't remember her. I haven't really seen her in much stuff. But you say that you recognise her name for sure.
I definitely, that name rings a bell. Yeah. Okay. But I think she was good. I think she needed to be in it a bit more, if anything.
Yeah, she was good actually.
A bit underused, yeah.
She was definitely quite scary. Well, not scary, but she had a creepiness about her. Because she was almost... I thought that she was in cahoots with Josiah Smith.
Yeah, same.
But it turns out she was just brainwashed like the others. But she did have like a more, it sounds weird, but if there was like a hierarchy in the brainwashing, she was kind of at the top of the tree because she was still managing the maids and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So she was quite creepy.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good example of somebody that looks scary, but actually they're not bad. So you look at her and, like you said, you naturally assume she's in cahoots with Smith because she looks like a villain. But it turns out actually she's just brainwashed. She's not bad at all, really. Yeah, but she's got that look. Good bit of casting. Probably there was more of her, I assume, in the script. But I just felt she was a bit underused in it. She could have been in it more. Yeah.
And then link into that. So the character Gwendolyn, who turns out to be her daughter, that we find out at the end. I thought she was pretty good, actually.
I liked her.
It looked like she was having a really good time with Ace, when they were like trying on clothes and so on.
Yeah.
And mucking around. That was like the one time where other than her just playing a piano, obviously having a little sing-song, that's
the piano.
The only times where you thought that she was underneath the brainwashing. She was allowed to relax a little bit and all that.
What's the song she's playing?
Oh,
is it off to the? Oh, what song is it? I can see it. If you go down to the woods today, is it that or something like that? I don't know, but whatever, it works really well.
I think, I can't remember, but she's having a good old sing song. But the times after that, though, she really does. She's not in a good place, is she? Because she's the youngest. It looks like of the main cast to be brainwashed and so on. And I did feel it was a bit of a shame where she meets her demise at the end.
She gets turned to stone. Actually, do we not see them again after that? Do they not get saved?
No, they don't get saved.
No, they don't, do they? I've only just realised that. No, they don't. They get turned to stone, and that's the last we see of them, isn't it?
That is the last. Yeah.
Think. Yeah.
No, it is. Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that because there is so much going on in this. It's just like it's really hard to keep track. But I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It's Light, isn't it? Because he's the character Light is really worried that they will contribute to this idea of evolution that he's so against. So in order to stop those guys from evolving from what they were now into their relationship as mother and daughter, he's like, nope, not having any of this.
Yeah.
And that's it. He turns them to stone quite harshly, and that's it. Goodbye.
I'd like to think maybe the Doctor, because it ends with the Doctor and Ace on the stairs. I'd like to think he went up afterwards and has he got a Sonic at this point? No, he hasn't, has he?
No Sonic, no.
I'd like to think he saved him, but I don't know.
Maybe. It's a nice thought. Yeah. Maybe. Let's talk about the inspector, the guy that we find in the drawer.
Oh, that's weird, isn't it? Again.
So what happened with that guy then? I
don't know.
He was...
he ate a few sandwiches.
Well, he turned up at the house like literally years before, like a couple of years before that, to investigate something that was going on at the house. And then I assume that Smith had done his, something bad to him and just put him in the drawer.
Is it supposed to be like, like butterfly collectors? They sort of put things in a cabinet in drawers. Is he supposed to be like that? I wasn't quite sure. Because it is so random, isn't it? The Doctor just opens a drawer and there's a policeman in there. It's just like, what?
It is strange.
I'm not sure.
Because it's another one of those little things that just pop up in the story and you think, hold on, what?
Yeah, another character's coming in. What's happening now?
Another angle to throw in and another character you have to sort of think about. But he was quite funny in a way because he had that very typical old kind of British policeman, just going about his business. He was eating a sandwich, wasn't he?
I love it because he drops crumbs over the Doctor's jacket. Apparently that was all worked out in rehearsal. That's what I love about the classic series. They just used to say, well, that'd be quite funny if you did that and, go off a bit off script and stuff. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Just in rehearsal, just it's not written down that you have to do that. It's just the actors themselves saying.
Yeah, wouldn't it be fun if... I think Sylv says in the making I can't remember which actor is they're talking about. They said, in that film, do you know why he's eating a sandwich? And they was like, no. He said, because it instantly makes you the focus of the scene. So he's basically steam sealing. He said, you should do that when we come to record Ghostlight. So that's why he's doing it, apparently.
Oh, right.
It's to make him sort of centre, because you sort of notice that he's eating that sandwich and stuff. I don't know.
But when they sort of reanimate him, though, he's back out of his trance, so to speak.
He's not very grateful, is he? He's a bit like well, if you don't tell me what's going on, I'm going to lock you all up. You know, it's like, well, I have just. Although I suppose he probably doesn't remember being hypnotised, but
probably doesn't.
He must have wondered why he was in a drawer. Surely.
Yeah. He's a quirky sort of character. He plays it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does throw in another little curveball you have to think about. Let's talk about the Reverend, the very unhappy gentleman that turns up and is not happy to be kept waiting all this time. He plays that brilliantly, that guy.
Lovely character, yeah.
Yeah, he plays him, Michael Cochran. What a great...
Are those sideburns real?
Oh, no, Michael, he plays Redvers. Sorry, no. The Reverend, is John Nettleton.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming those are fake.
Because they were fantastic. Oh, yeah, they probably are. They are massive, aren't they?
They're unbelievable.
But they really add to his look. Like, as soon as he walks in, you're like, who's this guy? He looks brilliant. And yeah, really nice little performance, actually, from him. It does pull a bit of a comedy face there when he's turned into an ape. When they sort of uncover him in the cabinet, he sort of pulls this almost like a bit of a John Pertwee.
Yes.
Cross-eyed look going on there. But yeah, really nice little performance from him, I thought. But he's quite authoritarian, isn't he?
He is. He's very...
what's going on here? Yeah.
Yeah, he comes across as very cross, very demanding. Cross. You know, I want to know what's going on with you now. We need to iron this out so I can get back to my peers and, you know, all that stuff. So he plays it so well, though. He's got that real sort of shouty, not taking any nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, those sort of lovable characters that we have in Who. Very British and so on. So he was good.
Yes.
He was cool. Okay, let's go on to the game hunter guy.
Now, why is he there? What's going on with him? Because there's a bit where he's in a straitjacket and this like box opens up with this light coming out and he's doing his nut.
Going mad, isn't he?
Well, what's going on?
Now, I don't know why I think he's there because he was picked up as an experiment or a specimen like the other characters were when they...
right, yes, that would make sense. Yeah.
So he's there because he was kind of chosen as part of the experiment, I guess.
Right.
And he's just... Well, it looks like he's just been allowed to wander around the house in a bit of a insane mess, really, because he's looking for himself, because he's looking for a character, isn't he?
Right, yeah.
So he's a bit insane because he's wandering around looking for this person that we don't know. And when he sees his reflection in the window, he's like, found him.
There he is.
Yeah. So that explains the straitjacket because he's a bit cuckoo.
Doolally. Yeah.
But I can't decide whether he's underused or not, really. He's in it at the beginning and so on, but then he comes into it a bit more towards the end, really, because he teams up with the character Control towards the end, doesn't he? He sort of sides with her and they decide to not...
Is there a bit where at the end, again, it was all getting a bit confusing, but there's a bit where they're all staring into the computer. I don't know if it's to make the spaceship launch or... I can't remember. But they say something like, there's a place for you. Is it because they need all these people to... Oh, I don't know. So confused.
It is,
but there is a reason he's there, but I'm not quite sure.
There is. I mean, he's there because I think he's just part of the experiment to explain the evolution side of things. But why he hasn't been brainwashed completely and why he's insane, and we don't really get told, I don't think.
No.
There's probably listeners thinking, well, yeah, we do. It's this bit.
Yeah.
But I just can't. It's a very confusing story to try and talk about.
Get
your head around later. But he was okay. I can't decide. Yeah, he was good. I mean, especially the bit where he's tied up in the room and the little silver boxes. Now, why has the box got the massive light in it?
Well, that's the next question I had for you, but you've asked me, and I don't know. Because it reminds me of the Box of Delights. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, it reminds me of that, but I don't know is light in that box? I don't know. So many questions. Do you know, it's weird, though, because even though we don't have the answer to all these questions, it doesn't bother me. It's not like a Stephen Moffat script where I'm really annoyed that he hasn't filled in the blanks. I actually don't mind that I don't know these things. It sort of adds to the mystery somehow. just bonkers.
It is bonkers, isn't it?
Mm.
So I would,
He's a good actor. He's a good character.
Yeah.
But we don't know why he's there.
We don't know why. Right, okay, let's talk about... So we've done the Reverend...
I'm waiting for you to get onto my favourite.
Nimrod.
Yeah,
Nimrod.
I love Nimrod.
the Neanderthal
brilliant.
guy, yeah. I kind of feel sorry for him in a way.
Oh, I know.
Did he remind you of somebody in another story?
Yes, he did. He did. Are you going to say it?
Hodor.
Yes.
Hodor.
Kondo from The Brain of Morbius.
Kondo, yes.
He reminds me of him. I wondered if it was the same actor. It's not. I went back and checked. But yes, he did. He reminded me of Kondo. Kondo want arm. Yeah. But Nimrod's brilliant. I love Nimrod.
Hodor. Is that how he...
Kondo need arm.
Yeah.
Kondo like girl.
Yeah. So he was very much in that same ilk.
He looks a bit like him, and he's the same sort of character. Yeah.
But I felt sorry for him though.
Oh, you got to. Yeah.
He'd obviously been collected as part of the experiment as well.
Mm.
But he'd just been relegated to the butler thing. But it's interesting that he can talk so well.
Mm.
So that must have been part of the experiments and so on. That must have been, because I'm pretty sure that cavemen-esque kind of people, Neanderthals, cannot talk that well, if at all.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No. But some great scenes between him and Sil, the Seventh Doctor, some great scenes between those guys. And they seem to be, the Doctor sort of gets his character straight away, doesn't he? So, I just love Nimrod.
Mm.
So what happens to him? He doesn't die, does he?
No,
I think there was a bit at the end where I was thinking, oh, no, Nimrod, don't do that, or something. I thought he was going to get it, and he doesn't, does he? He doesn't die, but
no, he doesn't die.
A bit like Matthias in Class. I would have put money on it that he was going to die, and he actually survives. Yeah.
No, he teams up with Redvers, the hunter guy, and Control, and they zoom off, don't they? They're in the spaceship at the end.
That's it.
And they're off to explore.
That's right.
So it's good he doesn't die, because I thought he's going to bite the dust. Just sure of it.
Yeah, because he was such a likeable character. You thought, oh no. Yeah, but he didn't.
No, he was quite cool.
Yeah, nice performance from, what was the actor called? Carl
Forgoin.
Forgoin.
Yeah.
Yes, Carl Forgoin. Yeah, nice performance from him.
Yeah.
Mm.
Very good. Very good indeed. Right, I think that's... No, we have got... Josiah.
So many, isn't there? So many in this.
Sorry, now let's talk about Control.
Sharon Juice.
Sharon Juice, yeah. You must recognise her from...
I do.
Various things. She's been in...
lots of stuff. She was in a program I used to love called Big Deal. Back in the day. She's a nice actress, actually. I like her, and she's a good actress as well. But I have to be honest, she's a little bit pantomime in this. She's not bad in it, but she's a little bit sort of what I would call stage acting in it. Do you know what I mean? She's a little bit like, and it's probably just the way she's been directed, I guess. But some of the stuff that she says, she's playing it a little bit she's on stage, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, I agree.
She's all right though. She's not bad.
Yeah, people will probably recognise her as she's the mum, isn't she, in the Royal Family, that comedy? Remember the Royal Family? She was the mum.
No, that's not her.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's her. She's the mum. Not the old granny character. Just the mum. That's her.
No, that's the woman from Brookside.
No, is it?
Oh, that's not her.
She's definitely in the Royal Family. She's definitely there.
Is she? Like I say, because we met her at a Phantom event. I'm sure you were with me.
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
And she's not. No, she hasn't changed much at all. It's not the mum.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm looking at a photo. No, she's not the mum. She is. What's her character? We'll circle back.
Yeah,
because she's
I was going to say,
because
she's aged quite well. She hasn't changed much at all. Yeah, and I think the mum in that, no offense to the actor, is slightly more wrinkled. But yeah, as Control, I was hoping you'd do an impression, but I can't think what she says. But she's like, "Control lady now," and all this. She's just a bit bit pantomime-ish
yeah.
at times, but not bad. It's not too cringy.
Yeah. At first I thought, what's the purpose of this character then?
Yeah.
That was my immediate thought. I thought, why is she here?
It's funny when she jumps out of a window, though. It's just so random. It's like, how are you doing? Yeah, not bad. Jumps through a window. Oh, bye then. Because she's a bit zany at the start, isn't she?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, is she, because she's been locked up for all that time, she does let loose a bit when she gets out by jumping through windows. But
it was
funny.
What,
I bet anyone who's listening to this who hasn't watched this story is thinking, what is this story about? Jumping through windows?
Yeah, it's the way she jumps through the window as well is just hilarious. But what makes it funnier is that she doesn't get very far. Just the next scene or the scene after that, she's just back downstairs.
I know.
She's just back in her house doing what she was doing.
So random.
But she was okay. She was a bit panto.
A little bit, yeah. She just, I don't know, because I think the others are all so good and they're all taking it all so seriously. It's just the mannerism in which she's speaking, which I think the person that we're probably going to speak to next also suffers from even worse, actually. But yeah, she's just a little bit panto for the story. But you know what? She looks good when she seems to have got a bit of a mask on when she first comes out, which makes her face look a bit disfigured, which is really good. We don't see it much. Did you notice it? She's sort of got this, it's almost a bit Phantom of the Opera like.
Yeah,
like just half an eye. I don't know. It looks quite good when she's first sort of in her shawl, but then she turns into ladylike control.
That's right. Yep.
Without all that stuff, and yeah, she's just like a normal human then. But she's all right. It's quite funny because Sharon Juice, she's a lovely lady. She's a bit off the wall when she says in the making of she had a pet rat at the time, a big white rat, and she really wanted to have it in the story. She said to the producers, "Now, can I have the rat on my shoulder while we're filming?" They were like, well, it would be interesting. I mean, considering everything else that's going on that's so crazy in the story, it would have fitted in perfectly. But they were worried about timing, and if they couldn't control the rat and get it to work on, it never worked with rats and children. So they decided against it in the end. But I can totally see her character sat there with this giant rat on her shoulder, just to add to the rest of the madness going on in this story. Yeah. So yeah, Mr. Rat didn't make it to the final edit, which is a shame.
Mr. Rat. She was a bit bonkers.
Yeah, she is. Nice lady though, yeah.
And Josiah Smith, the dude that's sort of masterminding the whole thing.
Yeah, Ian Hogg. Yeah, a good look. He looks better at the start when he's got his glasses, not that. Because there's a bit where he's turning a bit, his sort of skin's flaking off and that later on. He looks a bit weird. I thought he was good. His look is great. I do wish his performance had just been a touch stronger, considering the character he's playing, because he doesn't quite do sinister and in control as much as I think he could or should. Does that make sense? He doesn't quite have the presence when he starts speaking, because he looks scary, but when he's like sort of bossing people around, he's not quite as strong as I think he should be. But still good though. As I said, he's definitely got the look going on there for the part.
Yeah, and he does. Yeah, he does have a sort of a sense of authority, I suppose.
Yeah,
in some scenes, but he could have been a bit louder, a bit more. Seeing as it's his plan that's about to go up in flames, you would have thought that he would have been a bit more enthusiastic with his. Because he does wait for Mrs. Pritchard to turn up, and he's like, Mrs. Pritchard, there's all these people.
I just thought he should have been a bit stronger, like when he's saying like "get out" or whatever. He should have been like "get out." You know what I mean? It just wanted him to give a little bit more in his performance to make him a bit more scary. Because as I said, he looks scary, but when he starts speaking, it doesn't quite go with the look, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but still good.
That's a good idea about him evolving into those husk creatures as well.
Yeah, I liked that. Yeah.
So that was quite good, and he does concoct quite a big plan, because he's the one that's kept the Light character sort of hibernated away and has managed to do that, to do all that stuff. But yeah, like I agree, mate. Could have been a bit stronger.
Yeah, it could have been a bit stronger. You've mentioned it.
Let's do it. So John Hallam, Light.
As Light.
I didn't know whether to when I very first watched this one, and his character first explodes onto the scene in a very big ball of light.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was funnier, really. I didn't know whether his voice was funny or watching the actors' faces trying to act seriously back to him was funnier. All in all, it's a hilarious experience.
It is. And actually, this is the same thing, because visually, facially, he looks like a scary guy. He looks a little bit Vincent Price, doesn't he? He's got that scary look. Take away the costume, because he's a bit hindered by that. But his actual facial features make him look like he could be a scary guy. So then when you get this voice coming out, I am Light, you think, what? Yeah. You know, it just doesn't work. It's such a shame, because there's such a big build-up to Light appearing that you think, it's all going to kick off.
Yeah.
And it does take away a lot of the tension. I'm not sure why he's speaking like that. Or maybe if he'd have started like that, but then moved into something else. But do you know what I mean about that guy? He also looks like he should have a big, booming, actor's scary voice.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. Talks like a little girl.
He does. That's exactly what he sounds like. He does tone it down a bit in some of the other scenes.
A little bit.
A little bit, but it's just bizarre.
It is bizarre.
I'm wondering who thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah.
Cause they do rehearse this, don't they? With Classic Who.
Yeah, Classic Who.
With the studio stuff especially, they did spend however many hours or half a day early on in the day just going through the scenes and rehearsing. So they in rehearsal, we must have started doing that. Surely somebody would have said,
not sure about the voice, John.
John, can we just have a word? Yeah.
But I spoke to David Collins and he said, no, but I know, it's a strange decision.
You can appreciate it for it being something different.
Yeah.
You can, it's not your run of the mill, I'm going to play it in a Hammer horror style thing.
He looks like he belongs in a Hammer horror, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing I'm thinking. Maybe he thought, well, people would expect me to sound.
Yeah.
So, I'm a very strange sort of alien being composed of light. So there's no rules to determine how I would sound. So I will make it sound however I want. So, some kudos there. But it is just bizarre to watch and to hear. It is very strange, but not too bad. I'm not really over enamored with his character too much. He is a bit borderline annoying, but yeah.
It does still work, just about. Maybe when just about, yeah. And it almost gives the episode a little bit of lightness, because it is pretty dark all the way through, isn't it? It's like it's quite a dark story, so it does sort of take. That's the thing; it sort of takes you out of it a little bit more than it should, but it does also, for want of a better word, make it a bit lighter in tone. Maybe he saw the costume and thought, well, I am wearing a cloak with a box of chocolates hanging from it, so maybe I'll just lighten the performance up a bit.
Maybe it's unintentionally brings a bit of lightheartedness to the proceedings.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Ace. Ace, very good.
Love it.
She's very good when she gets going. There is the odd scene where it's a little bit slapsticky. There's a bit where the Doctor and Ace keep slapping each other out the way and talking, and that's a little bit. That is a little bit panto. It's a bit like he's behind you. But in the other scenes where she gets going and she's very passionate and, she's really going for it, Sophie Aldred she's very good as Ace, isn't she?
Yeah, I love the companion. I absolutely love the companion of Ace. I think Sophie's great. I know what you mean about the slapstick, because I think her and Sylve work so well together, and I think because they got on so well off screen, sometimes, and again, this probably comes back to the rehearsal time that Doctor Who used to get, because they used to rent a hall and have a proper they'd come up with little things in rehearsal that that you don't really get now. And I think, yes, perhaps sometimes they would probably come up with stuff like the slapstick in rehearsal, and that would go onto screen, and it maybe it's a bit over the top, but I do. I love Ace. I think she's great, and I really like the fact this adds to her backstory, because I can believe that she, as a 13-year-old, whatever, burnt the house down. She was a bit of a rebel, and the Doctor's almost sort of putting her back on track, really, isn't he? Because if you think about her character in Dragonfire, so we don't really know much about her then, and the Doctor does kind of take her under his wing a little bit. And I think that's what's great about actually the Seventh Doctor and Ace, is the fact that they work so well together, but the Doctor is sort of looking out for her a little bit, and because she can be a loose cannon, when she's throwing around cans of Nitro 9 and all that. Does he actually? He mentions Nitro 9 in this at the start, but she doesn't have any, does she?
No, or
something.
No,
yeah.
But she is good when she is a bit of a rebel. It's cool, like when she tells people to bog off, and it's quite funny and it's good. So she's a great. No complaints from Sophie Aldred in this one.
No, not at all. I really like it. Yeah, she looks good in all the costumes as well, doesn't she? She has a few costume changes in this. Yeah. So no complaints about Sophie.
Sylve.
The man.
I thought he was very good in this. Really, really enjoy Sylve.
Yeah.
At this point in the game where he's very much his own Doctor, isn't he? I mean, he was anyway, right from the off. But at this point in the series, when we're getting towards the end, he's kind of really in the flow, really knows what he's doing. And I think he's kind of enjoying a little bit the direction that him and John Nathan Turner and Andrew Cartmel wanted to take his character a little bit. He's very much enjoying those faces, because some of the promotional pics that came out around this time, he is looking quite stern, quite straight-faced, and I think he's relishing the thought of the next series, sort of getting into that other sides of the character. So really on the ball at this point, really good. And there's a scene where he's really ripping it in, having a good old go at Light as well, just before Light disappears when they're in the back room somewhere. Really just great stuff. It's like, no way I can go for a cup of tea now.
Yeah.
So, really enjoyed Sylve in this one.
Yeah, definitely echo that. But yeah, he did get the darker jackets and a few alterations. So, yeah, but I really like Sylve in this. I think he is a great Doctor. Yeah, I really do like him.
And the next time we see him is in the TV movie. Is he wearing the same stuff?
No, he's not. He's got like a beige.
Oh, that's right.
He's got quite a nice outfit, actually. I think he's still got the hat. I think that might be the only. Yeah, he's still got the hat, hasn't he? But the rest is totally different, I think. Yeah, he's got like a beigey costume on, which is actually quite nice. But yeah,
actually, no, I'm talking incorrectly here, aren't I? Because in my head, I keep thinking that Ghostlight's the last one. It's not.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's the last one filmed, but it's not the last one to be shown. That's right.
That's right. Yeah, last one, Survival, isn't it? So
I was thinking more of the dark jacket, but no, he's got more of a lighter in the TV movie, hasn't he? He's got more of a.
He's gone back to beige.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
So Sylve, good all round.
Yeah, he handles that. He's more subdued, maybe in this. I mean, if you compare him to, sort of his first series, he's definitely more subdued and darker and sinister, if you like, but still, very much the Doctor. Yeah.
And what did you think to the soundtrack to this? Because this has had.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
I really like the soundtrack to this, and it's had it had a special edition treatment, didn't it? From Silver Screen, it had a vinyl release, and so and I do quite like it. It's very suitable to the story.
It is.
I like it because I've got it on Spotify, just this album on its own, and I do put it on now and then. It's good. It's a good listen. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I really like it. Yeah, Marquez. It's a great soundtrack. It is unfortunately a little bit loud at times, and I think they acknowledge that. I would have. It's a difficult one, this, because I thought they might have adjusted it for the DVD release, because it does drown out the dialogue sometimes, especially episode 1. And I thought they might have changed that, but then again, I guess they're putting it out as it originally was, so you don't want to change it too much. But I think it's a lovely soundtrack, and it really does work well with the story. Yeah, so I've got the CD somewhere as well. I haven't listened to it for ages, but I have got the CD of it. It's a great soundtrack. Really like it. Yeah, I think Marquez was a good, like in the Baker years, we had Dudley Simpson. Sorry,
oh yeah,
Dudley Simpson did a lot.
Yeah,
and I think Mark Ayres suited, McCoy's era quite well. Actually, I love his soundtrack to Greatest Show as well. I think he manages to sort of get the right tone for the story. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. It's good. Anything else you want to mention before we jump over to our scores?
No, not really. Just that I like the fact that Sylve changes the last line. The very last scene. It wasn't the last one to be filmed. I think that was between two of the supporting cast. But the last scene that Sylve has with Sophie, they're on the steps, aren't they? The very last shot. And he was supposed to say something like, "That's my girl," or something.
Right.
And he decided at the last second to say "wicked" instead.
Yeah.
And I like that. I just thought it was a really nice way. If you think about this is the last story they ever filmed together. Back then, if you like,
back then.
The last classic story to be filmed.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the fact that his last line to Ace is wicked. Because it shows that they've got to know each other. They've bonded and stuff. So I like that. Yeah. But no, nothing else to really say, mate. I think we've covered it. Yeah,
that's interesting. The last ever scene to be filmed in Classic Who was Gwendolyn and Mrs. Pritchard on the bed when they get turned to stone.
Oh, is it? Oh, I was trying to work out what the last one. Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. There was no doctor in. So they'd have buggered off around the pub at that point.
They would have been at the party by then, the rap party, yeah.
Yeah. Rightio, let's move on to scores.
I
think it's you to go first.
Yes. All right. Yep. Okay. A confusing story, but a great watch. I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'd go higher if it just had a bit of explanation in it, but I really enjoyed watching it. Yeah.
You put it on the same score as Time Heist.
Oh, really? Yeah, I enjoyed this one more. It's just I just can't score it any higher because it did need that fourth episode, I feel.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a straight 7.
Okay. Yeah,
a straight up 7. So, yes, I think a lot of people would say a similar thing. I think it's a good watch and stuff, but you do have to be on the game,
definitely,
to know what's going on. Right, that's our scores. Let's see what our lovely listeners thought. No audio reviews this week.
Oh,
possibly because you couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah, actually, Jay Kent messaged me before we kicked off to say when are we recording, because he'd only managed to watch episode 1 and he was going to try and get an audio to us today. And I said, "Oh no, sorry, mate, we're just about to." But we can only imagine what he will make of this. Maybe he'll let us know in a future podcast.
Yeah, on Twitter, where are we? So Connor McHale, Twitter name @TrainFan44, just short and sweet. I find it really, really boring. I can never get into the story.
Oh dear.
Over on the Facebook page, Nick Gill says, good story, though poor characterization of Control always puts me off a little. Nice and dark in places and added a lot to Ace's backstory. He says, seeing the policeman stuffed in a display case really freaked me out as a child. Very unsettling at the time. Sammy Satine says, so the Doctor and Ace end up in a haunted house. I know it's actually a twisted surprise for Ace from the Doctor. I like Nimrod the butler. The others are creepy, except the policeman. He seems all right. Evil is definitely in the house. I like Ace. She's great. The 7th Doctor is great in this too, but I think it's rather mean of him taking Ace back to the house where it terrifies her.
Yeah.
It moves along at a fair pace and certainly creeps me out. I give it a 5 out of 10 because I really don't enjoy being creeped out. Danny Brown says, although Ghostlight is stupidly confusing, I can't help but admire the serial. We get to learn more about Ace and the characters within the mansion are great. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, good.
Kevin Mullen says, Ghostlight almost certainly wins the award for the most complex, multi-layered and intelligent story the series has ever produced. On first viewing, it's baffling and enigmatic and left me scratching my head in utter confusion. However, with the release of the novelisation, the story finally became accessible and at last I understood perfectly what the story was about and the themes it was trying to convey. Production-wise, it's flawless, absolute tour de force of outstanding set design. Series 26 was Ace's story, something the series hasn't done before, making her storyline central to 3 or 4 stories. So many fantastic scenes. It's frightening, unsettling. Reverend Matthews devolved to an ape and displayed in the case a mockery of everything he believes, and yet also filled the wonderful little moments of dark humour, the cream of Scotland Yard.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the soup.
Yeah. Such a pity BBC cancelled the show when the production team had raised the bar with Ghostlight. It's a 10 out of 10. My favourite Seventh Doctor story, and in my top 10 favourites of all time, Faultless Ratkin.
Wow, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, nice one, Kevin.
I agree with a lot of that, Kevin, yeah.
Grant Smith, very nice that the Doctor quotes Douglas Adams.
Oh, yes, what though? I can't remember.
Yeah, Lewis Palmer says, honestly not sure if this is good or not. This is due to the majority of the explanation being cut from the story, and to be honest, I would have preferred this as a 4-parter. This would give me time to further flesh out the characters and explain the story more clearly. If there's one thing amazing about this story, it's the Doctor and Ace. I think this is one of the strongest stories for their relationship and sets up the Doctor testing Ace psychologically, which would continue into the next story, The Curse of Fenric. Creepy atmosphere. There were just far too many things going on here, though, and I feel like 2 or 3 supporting characters could have been cut. Overall, I can't really rate this one, but it's the only McCoy story I struggled to get through.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Lewis.
Lastly, Joseph Howarth says, as of today, I've seen the story twice and I still quite enjoy it. The plot is hard to follow for new viewers. There are far too many supporting characters on screen, but it doesn't really matter when the story is creepy, atmospheric, and probably one of the best of Series 26. Ace and the Doctor are brilliant in this. I think it's, along with Remembrance and The Curse of Fenric, really come to mind for the 7th Doctor's darker side. I think the best bit for me was when Reverend Matthews says the line, "Man has been the same, sir, since he stood in the Garden of Eden, and has never, ever a chattering, gibbering ape whilst eating the banana and becomes the very thing he loathes."
Yeah.
It starts off as a funny scene, but becomes quite disturbing. Inspector Mackenzie, another highlight for me, because he doesn't seem to notice all the strange things happening in the house and just takes it all at face value. Only nitpick I have is Light sounds weird.
Yeah.
For a powerful being, he really sounds like he inhaled a lot of helium. Maybe that's just me, but anyway, Ghostlight is not a pick up and go to sort of story. You really need to pay attention to every detail on the screen, otherwise you don't know what's going on. It's a great story and gets an 8 out of 10.
Yes.
Thank you, Joseph. Did you have anything on the Geek Sandbag page?
I did have a couple, yeah, and a couple of vocal people. First off, Charlie Turner says, a little bit of a long comment, so bear with me here, but I think he's put this first bit in for you, Gary. It's a Star Wars quote. So he says, "A great man once said to describe his first impressions of a spaceship, 'What a piece of junk.' That man was Luke Skywalker, son of Anakin, Jedi Knight who fell to the dark side of the Force and became Darth Vader." And I'm just going to skip forward a bit. That quote from Luke sums it up all, how I feel about Ghostlight. Now, don't get me wrong here. I love McCoy's Doctor. He says normally, but this story makes Time of the Rani look amazing. Time of the Rani is amazing, Charlie. What are you talking about? This has to be one of the worst I've ever seen. This is, so far at least, the only one I'm going to give a very low rating to. And that rating is 3 out of 10. What an absolute joke of an episode. And not one I would return to unless I do a Doctor Who marathon at some point in my life, which I may do. So, yeah, not really a fan of this one, is our Charlie. 3 out of 10. Patrick Sherwood says, "Hi, so Ghostlight, what did I make of this story? Well, I like the 7th Doctor. He is great. He's better dark. And I like Ace. He's great. And overall, everybody is great. So I'm going to give Ghostlight an 8.5 out of 10, says Patrick. Alex Moore says, "A wonderfully dark story with some beautiful period sets and costumes. Classic Doctor Who indeed." It does have a definite classic feel. I agree, Alex. Richard Pearce says, "Great idea of taking a companion to the place of their fears. Very character focused, which is unlike Doctor Who of the time and much more like something new Doctor Who would do. However, I've seen this a number of times over the years and I still don't understand it fully." Join the club there, Richard. And think that what it's like is about, it's always remained a mysterious one. So yeah, it is a bit of a strange one. Richard didn't give it a score, but it sounds like he likes it. Penny Winchester says, "Even for its faults, it remains one of my favourite stories. What can I say? I love the weird ones. Gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Isaac Johnson, I enjoyed this one, although the villain was a bit rubbish. I think, is he talking about Light?
I think so. Yep.
Don't talk about Light like that. And finally, Jason Howe says, one of the very best, if a little bizarre story. Beautifully made with some great makeup, props, sets and effects. The one problem with it is it's too damn short, written as a 4-parter but crammed into a 3. This reduces the chance to tell the whole story. The target novel is really good, and it does get over what the story is about. It has the aspects of my favourite McCoy story, Curse of Fenric: creepy, chilling, and very atmospheric.
Oh, cool.
So, a bit of a mixed bag, but mostly positives.
Middle of the
apart
road.
from Charlie, who really, really doesn't like it.
Yeah. I forgot to mention we had a review in from Adam Pink. He sent us a message direct to Facebook. He says, Ghostlight always appears to be a controversial one. On first watch, it's a confusing mess of a story, but the more times I watch it, the more I understand some parts and others confuse me even more. But meh, I kind of like it, and I love season 26 McCoy. 5.5.
Oh, okay.
From Adam.
Cheers, Adam.
Right, that's going to do. Thank you very much, guys, for sending in your reviews and so on. Next week, we're back to modern Doctor Who, and it is a 10th Doctor story. So what are we doing next week, buddy?
Next week, 10th Doctor story, Smith and Jones.
Smith
and Jones.
Which would be Martha's first story, right? If I remember correctly.
I believe so. Is that the moon?
The moon one with the Jadoon. I think
I'm mixing this up with Catherine Tate's story for some bizarre reason. What's the Catherine Tate one called, where she comes back into it?
Partners in
Where
Crime.
she's doing all the funny faces. Yeah, I don't know why I've got the two confused. But Smith and Jones. So it's Martha, isn't it?
Martha.
Yeah.
I think it was this series 3, episode 1.
Right. Wow, good.
Or episode 2. Anyway, it's the first Martha and Tennant
Sounds like
story.
neither of us have watched this for a long time.
Oh, a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
it'd
that's going to be good.
Be good to visit Mr. Tennant again.
Yeah.
So look out for the Facebook post and Twitter on that so you can give us your lovely thoughts and reviews. And I think we're going to do there for 120.
Okay.
Thank you for sticking with us and joining us for episode 120. Only a short bit of news, but if you're liking the idea of nipping down the pub to have a good old chat about Who and so on, so remember the name. It's the Fitzroy Tavern in London, or known simply as the Tavern, and it's the first Thursday of each month. So if you're in the London area, get yourself down there. We will certainly invade soon. In the new year, probably, we'll be down there.
Yeah, definitely want to do that. Yeah.
Look out for the Lethbridge Stewart novel, Mind of Stone. That'll be upon us soon to complete your collection of Lethbridge Stewart novels. And also, what was the other bit of merch we had?
Oh, the Big Finish.
The Big
Doom
Finish.
Coalition next year. Yeah.
So get listening to your Doom Coalition box sets. So that'll be round really quick. That's only March. Sounds like a long time away. I'm sure that will whiz by. Well, just like this year has. So next week, Smith and Jones, 10th Doctor story. Looking forward to going through that one. In the meantime, head over to the website www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. Jump on there, you can listen to all the previous episodes, and you can also link off and join us on the social stuff. So give us a like and all that stuff. If you're an iTunes listener, please give us a subscribe and a review and a rating. That would be amazing if you did that. It helps us out loads. Check out Adam's channel. He runs his own thing.
A thing.
The Geek's Handbag. Do a search for it on YouTube and Facebook. Check out a load of Adam's, a load of cool videos. That's the best word I can describe Adam's channel is just a massive amount of cool stuff. Unboxings, convention stuff, reviews, the whole lot is in there. Right. Until next week for 121. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, I was going to say something then, but it's gone. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, Eh.